What's up, everybody? Welcome to game day edition of the C2 Sports Podcast. Tonight, NC State takes on Virginia, and we wanted to hop on, get our podcast in for the week. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about last night's Thursday night football game. We're going to talk about Brock Purdy and whether or not he's a top 15 QB in the league.
And that's a hot topic right now in our personal group chats and fantasy leagues and all that.
Yeah,
so
we had a heated conversation last night about that. Then we'll hop into the NC State game preview and then some college football, and then go from there. So go ahead and get things started. So last night, Thursday night football, Giants, 49ers. What were your thoughts?
I mean, the game script went about how I think a lot of people were planning it to go. I mean, obviously the Niners were heavy favorites. People were thinking they're going to, win by a pretty good margin, and that did end up happening. What the final score was, 30-12, I believe?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they went and they got the job done. Really a big part through their running defense. I think the Giants had a total of, I want to say, like maybe 15 rush yards or something. It was pretty low. And the Niners went and got the job done, 3-0, good start to the year. Giants, again, minus the second half of that Cardinals game.
Giants had 29 rushing yards.
Yeah, so really bad. I mean, minus the second half of that Cardinals game, the Giants have looked really atrocious to start the year.
150 total yards.
And that's even, I think that might be even more of a telling stat. Because they were in the game script where they were down multiple scores most of the time, you think, oh, well, of course they're not going to have a lot of rushing yards. Maybe they had a lot of passing yards, but that was also not the case. I don't know. I think it pretty much went exactly how people expected it to. Nothing too surprising here. What do you got? Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you said, kind of what everybody expected. I had the worst bad beat of my life.
Oh man, this guys, listen to this. This is horrible.
On Prize Picks, I had, which I was trying to find a really good one because it was my last one before I had to send in another deposit.
In your words, I have to make this one a lock because I can't go to zero.
And I did a lot of thinking, and I locked in the Daniel Jones pass attempts over, which was 32.5 was the line.
Given the game script that they're down, they're going to pass a lot. It makes sense.
And I did the Juwan Jennings 31.5. He's been a guy who I've used the past 2 weekends. He's been good.
And Ayuk was inactive.
And sure enough, Daniel Jones had 32 pass attempts, so he was one away from going over.
Oh, it was so bad.
And then Juwan Jennings was 1 yard short of going over.
And also, Juwan Jennings got to that 31 mark
on
the
first
possession.
Yeah.
Or the second possession.
Yeah.
And it was going to be an auto lock. And then he dropped one ball, I think, in the third quarter, like a 10-yard pass, and that's when you knew. You're like, it's definitely just not going to hit. There's no way.
Yeah, which he didn't even play like the fourth quarter.
Right. And Daniel Jones, he throws that pick. Okay, so I was watching because I also had that leg in one of my parlays, and I was like, as long as he gets the first down here, we're golden because he's going to have 4 passing down, right? I mean, he's going to pass 4 more times because they're going to go for it on 4th down, which that would have been the case. But on 3rd down, and I jinxed it, dude. It was 2nd down, and I was like, well, they got the first down, so it should be over unless he throws a pick.
Yeah.
So, of course, he ends up throwing a pick. And then they get the 3-and-out stop, and they get it back, but then he didn't come back in. So,
I mean, just really, looking at the stats, no bright spot for the Giants. I mean, rushing, Breida had 17 yards. That was their leading rusher. Daniel Jones threw for 137 yards on 32 attempts and had 1 pick. Paris Campbell had their most receptions, leading receiver with 6 catches for 24 yards. I mean, it was a very ugly night. And as far as the 49ers, they look good. Brock Purdy, 310 yards on 25 completions for 2 TDs. Christian McCaffrey ran 18 times for 85 yards, and Elijah Mitchell 11 times for 42 yards. And then Debo, looked like prime-time Debo.
Debo looked like 2 years ago, Debo.
Yeah.
There was a couple plays where he just, he just wouldn't go down.
Yeah.
There was this one, post route, I think it was maybe...
he ran a slant, and they threw it to him, 3 yards, and he ended up getting literally, 20 yards.
Yeah, and there was one that he got the first contact, made a guy miss, and then he had another guy, and he just dragged him along. And by the time he went down, there was, 3 Giants just on top of him.
Yeah. He looked good.
He's, untappable.
Really good. So, there's not much to talk about with that one. I mean, that leads us into our Brock Purdy conversation.
That is the only thing to talk about.
So we've been having a conversation in our fantasy group chat about whether or not Brock Purdy is a top 15 QB. At first, it was top 20, and then all of a sudden, everybody's like, nah, he's top 15. And I personally, I don't know. I mean, I could see it, but with the weapons he has, with the defense he has, the overall scheme, I mean, I think, and this is why Jimmy G was in the Super Bowl at the 49ers, because I think almost any of the QBs in the NFL can be successful with the scheme and with the offense and the defense that they've been given with the 49ers. Shanahan does a great job of building that team and putting the pieces around the quarterback to where, I mean, really they just have to be a game manager in order to succeed.
It's definitely a position that you got everything working for you in your favor if you're the quarterback on the Niners.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about that.
I mean, I don't know. I completely get the top 50. I mean, he's 8-0 in his last 8 regular season games. Like, props to him. And I'm not by any means hating on him. I'm not by any means saying he's not a good quarterback. I think 110% he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and he's proven that. But I think there's 15 guys in the league who are, if I had a franchise, if I was the GM, there's 15 guys in the league right now that I would say I want him instead of Brock Purdy.
Which the only thing too, you have to keep in mind how young he is. So if you're talking like, I mean, there's always these little nuances with a debate like this. Is he top 15 for next week's game, or is he top 15 to be on your team for this year, or is it for just to be like on your roster for like you said, if you're a GM, I mean, you're planning on, having him for many, many years as of right now. So that's the way that it seems. So, I mean, there's definitely some nuances here about what thing you're actually arguing. I mean, on the side, I don't know. I mean, top 15 sounds like it's doable, but then you actually go to list out all the players. And I mean, I can see the argument for both sides. I kind of know how you've kind of taken things as maybe he's not a top 15 quarterback, so I'll just argue the other side of it. And I think that is personally the side that I would fall on. And I mean, the argument for that now, there is things like, for example, last night there was back-to-back 3rd and 15s that they got the first down because he just dumped off a screen to Debo and he took it for 30 yards. And then he just dumped off a screen to Christian McCaffrey and he got 20 yards.
Yeah.
And sure, anybody, I mean, I could have done that. I just take the snap, dump off a little 3-yard pass. As long as I hit him somewhat in the hands, they're going to take it and they're going to be good players. But
I mean, I guess let's do it this way: Patty Mahomes or Brock Purdy.
Okay. I mean, you can.
You're gonna. Yeah. I mean, Patty Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Tua, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow. That's probably where I'd stop.
Yeah, I was about to say. Right now, Justin Fields.
I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it, because Justin Fields and Brock Purdy are the same age. Brock Purdy might be older than Justin Fields.
I mean, you got to be a passer in the NFL, and right now, Justin Fields is.
Yeah, I mean, atrocious. I could see that. Trevor Lawrence, I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence.
At this point in time, I'm going to put Justin Fields
below Purdy. I mean, that's fine with me. I can go with that. But that's okay. Trevor Lawrence, that's 9. Yeah. That's 9. Dak, that's 10. And Deshaun Watson, nah. At this point in his career, nah. So that we're at what, 11 or 10, right?
Yeah, still
10.
I personally wouldn't have.
I would take Russell. I think Russell's a better overall QB. I think he's proven himself. He's won a Super Bowl. I would take Russell. I mean, I'm a little biased, but I would still take Russell. I'd take Geno Smith.
I would take Geno, yeah.
So that's if you're going to take Geno, you have to take Russell. I mean, come on.
I mean, it's just at this point in time.
Okay, well that would put you at 11, me at 12.
Sure.
All right. Stafford, the way Stafford's looked, I would take Stafford right now. Stafford has gotten to the Super Bowl.
For next week's game,
Stafford has won a Super Bowl.
For next week's game, if you put Matthew Stafford in Brock Purdy's position, yes, I think I'd rather take him. But I mean, long term, having him on my team.
Well, no, and this is what I'm saying. Okay, let's say this. Let's say you're going to put him in Brock Purdy's position for this season.
It's hard to say that he wouldn't do really good, considering his weapons are Puka Nacua and Brock Purdy's weapons are Christian McCaffrey and Debo,
yeah,
and Kittle, and a good defense. But also,
I don't know. Anyways,
part of that is also saying, like, sure, could any quarterback do pretty well with those weapons? Yeah, but then, how do you determine if he's going to be like? You can't always just use that excuse.
No, I agree.
Well, he's not good because he has good teams.
And I'm not saying that's the thing that a lot of people got upset with me about is like, oh, you're a hater. You're saying he's not good. I'm not saying that at all. I think Brock Purdy's a great quarterback. But I think that we just need to pump the brakes on. I mean, top 15 is like. I mean, I don't think people understand. Top 15 is like that's
once you get to top 12, that's a QB1 as far as fantasy is concerned. So I mean, that's pretty high praise to get into a QB1 category.
I mean, top 15 is big time in the NFL, and I mean, Jared Goff's another one I'd have over him. But
I would too. But then I mean, if I'm looking down the rest of that list, I probably.
I mean, I'd take
maybe like Jordan Love. Probably.
I'd take Jordan Love. I'd take Derek Carr.
I wouldn't take the Carr man over personally, but I mean, I think I would put him at a fringe top 15.
Yeah, I would too. I'd definitely put him top 20 without a doubt, and I agreed to that. I think top 20 is good, but top 15, like you said, I think it's definitely fringe. So yeah, I mean that's.
I think this is something we should revisit later in the season.
Yeah,
No matter what, in my opinion, if they continue, like we revisit this in week 10 and they're like 9-1 or something like that, I don't care how good your weapons are. If you're winning games and they do have some tough games coming up, then I would push them into that top. And it always depends how the top 15 players are doing, right? I mean, if players in the top 15 start playing worse, that obviously makes more room for him to come up and be a top 15 player.
Now, I mean, like, all right, say they end the year with 2 losses.
I mean, you kind of have to.
Well, no, I mean, he's top 15, but then at that point, is he top 10, top 5?
I think that guarantees him top 15, but then anywhere beyond there is performance in those wins. Like if he's throwing for 225 and 2 in those wins, I don't know that you could justify a top 10.
Yeah.
But it's all. I mean, I don't know. That's just something we got to monitor. I think it guarantees him top 15, but from there, you can't say top 10 yet or top 5 yet. That's going to be something that we're going to have to watch and monitor. And see how his performance is even in those wins. Like we said, I mean, he could play mediocre and still get wins with that team.
Yeah.
But I think time will tell.
All right, let's hop into some NFL games. I mean, big game, 0-2's, Chargers, Vikings.
If you fall to 0-3 in the National Football League,
you're in trouble.
Your chances, I think I saw.
Well, 0-2, it's already your chances are already bad.
But in the last, I can't remember if it was like 3 or maybe 5, maybe it was in 10. In the last however many years, there has been an 0-2 team to make at least one team that started 0-2 that's made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you're not out of it, but once you get to 0-3, just the stats say you're at a massive disadvantage.
Yeah.
So this very well could be a season ender for one of these teams, even though the Chargers and the Vikings, I mean, these are two teams that people came into the year very high on.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the Vikings started 8-0 last year.
It's crazy to say that by week 3 we could be almost out on one of these teams making the playoffs, especially, I hate to say this, but especially if it's the Chargers, given the division that they play in. I mean, they're going to face a really tough schedule. So, that being said,
I mean,
what do we got on this game preview here? I mean, if you had to just choose right now with no explanation, who would you take? Unbiased.
I'm going, as much as I hate it, I'm going Vikings. I mean, we don't have Eckler. Eckler's out this weekend.
Yeah.
So, without Eckler, I mean, Joshua Kelly's solid, but he just can't do what Eckler does. I don't know, and I've just been really disappointed with. I mean, the Miami Dolphins game with the Chargers, I understood. Miami's solid
because they played Chargers football. They just outplayed playing. I mean, it's just. I mean, this could be another one of those games where it's just going to be passing.
I just really got disappointed last week in losing to the Titans. That one was.
Yeah, that one definitely stings a little bit. That's one that you would hope to go ahead and rebound after you looked good against the Dolphins. But just couldn't get the win because they are the Dolphins. But, I mean, just looking at this one, and I said this one could also take a
over-under of 54.
Right. I was going to say it could probably take a game script similar to the Dolphins game. I didn't even look at the over-under, but clearly if Vegas says there's an over-under 54, which anything above 50 in the National Football League is, like, extremely high. That's, like, what we saw last week. I think maybe the Seattle Lions game might have been close. I think it's a little under it. And the Chiefs Jaguars game was, like, 51.5 or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be a shootout. Both of these teams pass a ton over expected what they're expected to based on those statistics. You said that you think you'll take the Vikings in this one. I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. I think Justin Herbert's going to have a good day. I think they're going to be able to, even without Austin Eckler, I think he's going to be slinging the rock. And I mean, both of these teams are obviously overdue for a win, but I think it's just going to be the Chargers. I think they're just a little bit better all-around team, especially the Vikings right now with their run game. Again, they pass a lot, and that's what they rely on. But with their, situation at running back, unsure with the Akers trade now with him or Madison, and they haven't ran it very good all year anyways to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Chargers in this
one. All right. Like we said, Eckler's out. Keep that in mind when it comes to fantasy this weekend. Yeah. Joshua Kelly, I mean, if you need a running back, that's going to be the guy you want to start to replace him.
Definitely not too excited, you know. I wouldn't put him in anything that you need to be starting him
unless you absolutely need to. Yeah.
Which, with the running backs this year with the injuries and stuff, you could be definitely desperate in a situation to play him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just depending on what kind of league you're in,
how
deep it is and all that.
Fantasy-wise, I mean, Justice Hill is out. Colts, Ravens, Justice Hill's out. I know that. So Gus Edwards probably going to be the guy you want to start.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have, I think they pulled up like Melvin Gordon from the practice squad. They might have got somebody else in there, but I'm definitely big on Gus Edwards being the workhorse for this week at least.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to share too much.
Anthony Richardson's out, so Gardner Minshew if you need a quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't go out and get Gardner Minshew if you have like a Geno Smith, but all right, let's just do a quick pick. Colts or Ravens?
Give me Minshew mania in this one, man. I think the Colts might take this one down. I mean, the Ravens have looked solid this year. I don't know. I don't really have much to justify other than a little sneaky suspicion that I think.
I was kind of thinking that too, but I'm gonna go Ravens just because. But I was kind of thinking that too. I don't know. Something tells me the Colts are going to pull it out.
You're not always going to get the favorites that win every week, so just going through here. I mean, I'm going to look at a couple games and just kind of feel it out with my gut here.
Yeah.
They are, man, Baltimore is 8-point favorites, but pretty low over under. I'm gonna ride with the Colts on this one. I got a sneaky feeling about it. I think Zach Moss might have a decent little day there. Maybe probably fall into the end zone. 53 rushing yards and a touchdown.
All right, moving to the next one, Panthers Seahawks. Bryce Young is out. Andy Dalton gets to start. I'm going Panthers.
For me,
I think it's better.
Probably get an upgrade. I mean,
I do too.
Obviously, long term, Bryce Young's our guy. They went up and they drafted him, and long term, but he is going to need experience. And so far, I mean, we know Andy Dalton's a very capable NFL quarterback. There's a reason why they even have him on the depth chart. And I think at this point in time, with a little experience and what we've seen of Bryce Young this year, I think that having Andy Dalton is actually a little bit of a plus on the Panthers for this game.
No, I think so too.
So you're going to take the Panthers in this one. Just to give you guys a little rundown, over under 42. Line is set at Seattle as 5.5-point favorites. I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one. I think week one was kind of a little bit of a shock to everybody with their offensive line struggles, losing a couple people in the middle of that game. Geno Smith didn't look as good as he looked last year. But week two was definitely a big bounce back for them. Took down the Lions. And Geno Smith looked back in his form. Tyler Lockett had a good game. It seems like their receiving core is healthy, so I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one.
All right. Moving on down, Titans-Browns. Just a quick pick. Not much to talk about here. I don't know. I think I'm going to go Browns, and I don't know. I think I'm going to go Browns.
I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to say the Browns as well. Again, super low over-under in this game, 39.5. Once you get below that 40-point mark, that is considered very low. Browns are 3.5-point favorites here, and I believe the Browns are at home, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a huge game for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper, for anybody who doesn't notice, there was an overwhelming pattern last year of his performance on the road versus at home, and meaning at home he had every single one of his big games, and on the road he had every single one of his bad games. And so I think Amari Cooper, he's also in a good matchup. The Titans do not give it up on the ground. I think for everybody who went out and spent up on Jerome Ford, they're probably going to be a little bit disappointed this week just because the Titans give it up so much through the air, and their rushing defense is actually very good. So I think Amari Cooper's going to have a big week. I think Deshaun Watson's going to play pretty good.